Welcome to Living Chassidus. Together, let's live the Chassidus we learn.
Good evening. Thank you so much, Hani, for the invite. And we met in 770 last week, and that's how this came about. So really grateful to be here. And, for being invited. I used to come many years to Machon Chana. I never studied officially here, but I used to come here for different classes. So when the Rebbe would do Farbrengens and there would be Chazara, Rabbi Majeski would do Chazara Farbrengens. So sometimes it was here, sometimes it was in different places. So it really warms my heart to be here. Very special to be in this place. And I want to start with Tzedakah, Gedolei Tzedakah, Shemekareres Geula. And everyone's talking about Geula. It's actually just happening right before our eyes. And if we could sing and dance, to celebrate all the miracles that we're actually seeing, and wow, that would be amazing if we could do that after, just a little dance. Because when this is actually how we show gratitude for the miracles that are happening, but we also dancing already for the Geula that's about to happen, which is already transpiring. Okay, so today the topic is Hashem's timing, and I thought it was a great title. I usually give classes, and it takes me sometimes a while to find out, like what's a topic, like what's a good title that could really tell you what the topic is about. And I thought this was a great, title, Hashem's timing. And like after a few days, I was thinking like, oh, but that really sounds like, okay, Hashem has his timing, but my timing might be different, right? Like your timing might be different. You might think, oh, until you're this age, you want to be married, right? Until this age, you want to be, a kalaf. Until this age, you want to be going out with, So I was thinking, I hope that at the end of this class, that is going to come not so much rough on the edges that it might sound like, oh, I have to turn this over to Hashem. Hashem knows my timing, and I have to just be bottled to this and just accept it, whether I want it or not. So I want to talk a little bit about that. But before that, we are going to talk a little bit about Purim and what's the whole idea of Purim, and then we'll tie back to that whole thing about Hashem's timing. So we're actually, tonight is Yud Gimel Adar, and it is the beginning of Tanis Esther. I mean, we're going to be fasting only tomorrow, but it's already the day. And Tanis Esther means that we're so close to Purim. And what's so special about Purim? So what's so special about Purim is that, and we know that every single Yom Tov has something special about it. And we're not celebrating something that happened in the past. We're also celebrating something that's happening right now in the present. Because even though the festival of Purim happened, the miracle of Purim happened in the past, but every year when we celebrate Purim, we're celebrating that miracle that's going to manifest in this year in a Purim-dika way, meaning that the time of Purim is when we're going to celebrate that miracle. So what is the miracle? So the miracle of Purim was that there was a very big concealment, and the concealment was actually double. There were two concealments. And we see that in Perek of Tehillim of Esther HaMalka, which is Perek Tehillim, the 22nd Chavbeis, where she says, Keili, Keili, lama zaftani. So calling out to Hashem twice, Keili, Keili, my Hashem, why have you forsaken me? So in here we see that there was a double darkness in Purim. And how can we apply this to our life? So in Purim, we know, every little child that starts learning about Purim will know what was the big miracle, that Haman, the Rasha, he came, he wanted to destroy everyone, all the Jewish people, men, women, and children on the same day. And the Gezerah was annulled by Esther HaMalka, and now we have the big miracle of Purim. Now, let's go back a little bit. How come in this Perek of Tehillim, Esther HaMalka, she talks about the double concealment? Because one concealment was the Gezerah, was the decree that Haman wanted to kill all of the Jewish people in one day, and they didn't have how to defend themselves. But then there's a second concealment. The second concealment is how we feel when we're in a challenge, how we feel when we have a difficulty. So when you feel that Hashem is with you in this difficulty, in this challenge, you have strength. You have strength to daven, you have strength to say Tehillim, you have strength to do mitzvah, to help somebody else. Because the emunah that you have, that's what gives you the strength to overcome this challenge. But what happens when there's the first concealment, which is the challenge that you're going through, and then there's the second concealment, which is when you feel that Hashem deserted you, Hashem forgot about you. Like there was a whole group of people. Hashem took care of this one and this one and this one, but Hashem forgot about you. Like Hashem deserted you, and you're like, now I have to figure this out on my own. That is the second concealment. So this is what Esther HaMalka felt. First, she felt that when she was going into Achashverosh, she felt that first there was this gezerah, that this was this concealment of Hashem, but then she felt a double concealment where, oh my gosh, now I'm totally on my own. Derech HaTeva, this is not going to work. And that's why she actually asked the Jewish people and Mordechai to fast for 3 days, because she needed a miracle. She needed something above nature, because in nature, this wasn't going to work. So that was a double concealment. So taking this to our lives, and this is the energy that we're stepping into now, Tanis Esther and then Purim, and then Shushan Purim, that there are times in our life when we go through challenges, whether you're single, whether you're married, whether you have children, you don't have children, whatever stage you are in life, Hashem gives us a nisayon. He gives us a test. And in that test, we will have the strength to overcome that test when we don't feel abandoned, when we don't feel we're doing this alone, when we can let go of that grip, holding on to this and say, I have to bring the solution to this. We can let go and say, Hashem, I know you have my back in this. I know you're going to get me through it. So really the question is, what happens to me as a person? Who do I become? How do I show up when I'm going through this challenge? What are the things that I tell myself? What do I tell myself when I'm going through a challenge? So let's be more specific, right? We're talking about shidduchim. So let's say you go through, a name comes up. And this name comes up and everything seems so, really everything appropriate. And it seems like, the family that you're looking for and the age is right. And you saw a picture and you see all the, the personality and everything seems to be good. And then after you find out and everything, and then the other person on the side also finds out, and then either you get a no or you say a no. So it's like, like a disappointment, right? Like this could have been, and then there's a disappointment. Okay, so then basically you move on, right? But there's an energy that stays in that situation. What are the things that I tell myself when this happens, when I get a no or I say no to somebody else? So what are the messages that go on? And we know that whatever we think, that influences how we feel. And whatever we feel is an emotion. An emotion is something that has movement, right? Emotion is emotion, something that's moving. So this feeling, this emotion is a vibration like electricity, and it's going out to the universe, and it goes out and it goes out, and then it comes back to you because you live in the world, right? So whatever you bring out, then it comes back to you. So what you're thinking at that moment, that's actually going to bring about the next situation, another situation that's going to reflect the emotion that you just had. So it's not about what happens to us, but it's more about what we tell ourselves about ourselves because of this situation. So let's take Esther HaMalka, going back to Esther HaMalka. She's the queen. She did not choose this. She was hiding, and then Mordechai couldn't hide her anymore, and she was taken, kidnapped, and then she had to marry this lunatic, this alcoholic, this person that was also, he was very neurotic. Like he was always afraid of everybody, and that's why she did the 2 parties, because she was trying to play around with that he was neurotic, and also with the gaiva of Haman, thinking that he was So she could have done just one party, but when she did two, she was playing like she was very intelligently. She was playing around with their personalities, and in that way building up the climax until she was able to bring salvation to the Jewish people by telling Achashverosh that Haman was the Oyev and all of that. So when Esther Hamalka is going into when she's in this situation, what does she tell herself? Does she tell herself, oh my gosh, I'm all by myself, I have to figure this out, I have to bring salvation? So then for this we have to understand a little bit, go back. What was the conversation that Esther Hamalka had with Mordechai? Mordechai tells her, look, you have to be the shliach to go in and speak to Achashverosh, and he's going to bring, and then you'll convince, because you're the only lady in the White House and you're the first lady. I mean, it makes sense that you're gonna have that impact. And she says, it's dangerous for me to go in. I could lose my life. And actually, the Mefarshim say that she was thinking that derech hateva, like naturally, this was not going to work, because 30 days he didn't invite her to go. So derech hateva, she could be killed if she went in. And she was thinking, I don't have to commit suicide in an attempt to do something that might not work. And also is in the time of Purim, like the Yidden were in like a low, like in a low state. And that's why it says that after Purim, they took upon themselves the whole Torah again. Why? They were doing the Torah before, but they did it through fear. They were fear of punishment, or they were fear they're not doing the right thing, or something's not. And when they took upon them Purim, they came with Ahava. So we know that they did tshuva mi ahava. We know the difference between doing tshuva, not to have like, how to say, they want to just have a clean slate, right? Or you're doing, so then okay, you're forgiven, but whatever. But if you do it be'ahava, then it's going to be transformed. The sin is going to be transformed into a mitzvah. So she said to herself, like, why should I commit suicide for something I don't know if it's going to happen, if it's going to work? And what did Mordechai say? Instead of him getting panicky and saying, oh my gosh, this is the only way that we're going to have salvation, he says, okay, salvation is going to come. Hashem is going to bring salvation. But I'm just thinking about you, like what's going to be with you? Maybe for this, you came up to here. So you came to this position. So then Esther Hamalka says, okay, so ask the Yidden to fast, and then she fasted as well. And then she went in, and then the salvation happened. But when she was going in there, what was she thinking in her head? Was she thinking like this? Oh, maybe I should have told Mordechai from the beginning. Yes, I should have had more emunah. I should have this. I should have that. Like, could you imagine? We don't really know what was going on in her head. But when she was going into Achashverosh, and even though she had such a small chance, and she was after 3 days of fasting, it was what she told herself while she was going through this. So what does she do? She's honest, and this is very important when we're going through any challenges in life, that we can be honest about what we're going through, and not try to stand strong and say, "Oh yeah, I'm like figuring this out. Everything's okay." But you can be honest and authentic. Like she said, Hashem, why are you forsaking me? She felt the double concealment when she was going to go into Achashverosh. So that's number one, that we can be honest, and we can. And I was thinking to myself, like the Rebbe told us to have a Rav, then to have Yedidim Mevinim, which are friends that understand, to have a Mashpia, to do Fabregans, to do Miftzayim. The whole time the Rebbe is telling us to do things, to do Fabregans, and in this way, we're always connected. We're always with other people. We're always sharing with others. We're always hearing them share also. Like this interaction that we have with each other through having a Rav. So sometimes it's not, oh, I'm going to call my Rav and ask him a question. Oh, is it so important? Sometimes just talking to the Rav is already, like it's already going to bring a bracha. I'll just give you an example. Let's say you take a mezuzah. You have a mezuzah in your house for a whole year and you want to check it. And you take the mezuzah to a sofer. He opens, he checks it, it's kosher, it's fine. And then you bring it back to your house. So you put it up, you're like, okay, why did I do all that? Just checking the mezuzah to see if it's kosher, it's already brings a bracha to the home. Even though it was kosher, we always hear the stories, oh, it wasn't kosher, they fixed it, and now no, just go. So You see, this is the whole thing. This is the whole point. It's not so much what are we doing, but it's who are we becoming through all of these situations, all of these challenges that happen. Because Esther Amalka, she steps up to the plate. She literally steps up, and when she does this, she becomes a new queen in a different way. She comes with courage, with resilience, with emunah. And this is the whole thing of Purim. Now, also in Tehillim, we also have, no, actually not, yeah, it is Tehillim, but we have it in davening in the morning, also in Hoidu. It says, Histarta panecha iti nival. It says that what is the most challenging about a challenge that we go through, that we feel that Hashem is haster panecha, that Hashem is not there. Hashem doesn't know what we're going through. Hashem is not feeling our pain. Hashem is like just standing there on the distance, watching. Oh, how are we going to react? It's not a good feeling to have that. And actually, that is one of the hardest things, is to feel alone in when somebody is, going through a challenge, because the pain is not in the challenge itself, but what we tell ourselves and how we feel alone. So in this we see with Esther Malka that, and in the whole thing of Purim, this whole thing about bitachon. So what is this thing about Hester Panim? So what we have to understand is that Hester Panim, which is when Hashem conceals himself from us, like I'll give an example. When something amazing happens in your life, right? Like all of a sudden you win the lottery, right? Or you win a promotion, or you bought a house, or you feel Hashem's chesed, right? You feel it. Or let's say when you're going out with somebody and you see that it's really coming along and you're really connecting and you think that this is gonna, and then you actually get engaged and you get married. These are times that you feel Hashem is right there with you. Hashem, like it's not concealed. So you feel this openness. And what we have to understand is that Hester Panim is a way that Hashem is with us in order for us to look for him even more. So it's not Hashem is hiding, but like that story, right, of that child that's crying because they played hide and seek and the kids stopped looking for him, right? Because he went to hide and then the kids stopped looking for him. So it's like Hashem, in the concealment, he's waiting for us, meaning in the galus, he's waiting for us to find our personal geula and really, really tune in to who we are at this moment. So when we feel alone and distant and disconnected, the question is, who stepped away? So you would say, oh, you could argue, well, Hashem is hiding, right? His chesed from me. So I have a desire, and this desire is not being fulfilled. So it's Hashem who's not giving me this desire, right? And then here comes something which is so incredible. The Rebbe talks about this, how we find Aleph in Goyla, how we find Hashem in the Galus, in the darkness. And this is something that's really interesting. When you have a desire for something, right? Let's say a desire to get married, a desire to build a Biyan Adeyad, a desire to have children, a desire, all these beautiful desires. Where are these desires coming from? So you could argue and you could say, well, I'm having this desire because I'm a human being. Hashem created me and he gave me this desire. So that desire is actually Hashem's desire for me. So it's not just mine, it's actually also Hashem's desire. So the question is, how do we live in a desire without it being fulfilled? What does it mean to want something and not have access to that for whatever reason? So in the meantime, what does that look like? So for that, we have to look back in history and see, like our mothers, right? So let's say Leah. So Leah, we know that her bashert was Esav, and she was crying because she knew that he didn't have a good profile, Esav, and she was crying. And it says like her eyes were, actually Rachel and Leah were twins, identical twins, and that's why when Leah came in the place of Rachel, Yaakov didn't identify her because they were identical twins. The only difference is that Leah, her eyes were soft because she cried so much. What is this crying? So she was crying because she was davening and she was doing tshuva. She represents the Baal tshuva. And what was her crying about? What was her davening about? that she didn't want to marry Esav. So not only did she not marry Esav, but she married Yaakov. So it was through her tshuva that she was able to change her basher. Like she was able to change who she was going to marry. Now, the Rebbe says very clearly that today when we say Tehillim, it should be with tears of, but not tears of sadness, but tears of emotion and tears of joy. Like we already have this confidence, like the security that Hashem is going to answer our prayers. So what did Leah do? So Leah davened. So when we daven, what happens to us is that we become, and this is a really interesting thing. Like when I was preparing this class and I was, I don't know, it was whatever, mincha or something. And I went and I opened the siddur and I was like, oh, wow, like at this moment, like Hashem can't hide from me because I'm opening the siddur, I'm talking to him. It's like the conversation has to, right? Like when someone comes to talk to you, like you answer, it's like automatic. So it's like, there's no hiddenness. There's no astir panai because of that. So even if, let's say on the day to day, you're like walking, you're thinking, you're this, you're that, you talk to this one, like you're not thinking about Hashem all the time. But when you're davening, you open the siddur, well, you're davening to Hashem, and all of a sudden, like you have a voice, and what you say is important, and actually your words are actually creating your reality. So we see this by Leah, that in her crying, she was in her davening, she was able to change around the thing. So let's say something is written, right? Okay, so it says that you're going to get married when you're at this age, or you're going to get married to this person, or whatever it is that it's written. Through your davening, you're able to change that. You're able to create a new reality. Now, where do we know this from? The parsha of the week now, it says in the Kohen Gadol, he had to wear tzitz, right? And he had to wear it on his forehead, and he had to touch it sometimes to remember that he was wearing it. You know, like sometimes you're wearing something, you're wearing a hat, and you forget that you're wearing it, right? So I don't know if it happened to you, sometimes you're wearing something, you go to the dentist and then you have to put on these things on your feet like it's disposable, right? And then you go out and you forgot to take it off and you're walking in the street with these disposable things. Because sometimes when you wear something for a long time, you don't remember you're wearing it. So the Kohen Gadol, he had to touch it sometimes to remember that he's wearing it. So what is this? So in the Maimir, it explains that there are two types of love. There's loving, let's say you like a piece of food, you like a person, you like a situation, so you love it, right? So you want to be close to it. But then there's a love which is like unconditional, infinite, which is Ava Rabba. So the tzitz of the Kohen Gadol enabled all the Jewish people to have that Ava Rabba. And that Ava Rabba is such a love for Hashem. It's such a great, great love that the person, that and anything, like he just becomes this open keli to receive like all these blessings and all these good things. So the question is like this: when we come to daven and we say Tehillim, and hopefully Mitzvah Hashem after this class, if you're doing this class, and it's gonna inspire you to know that, imagine Leah, like what her lot was. It was definitely like the worst than anybody's lot, to marry Esav, and she was able to change it through her davening, through her tefillah. The thing is that it's not so much about the quantity, it's more about the quality of when you're standing before Hashem, when you're davening, and you're saying Tehillim. Is it, I know for a long time my davening used to be like a checklist. Okay, I did it. I did mincha, I did shara, like that. And it's also words, and it's also a vibration that's coming out to the world. But could you imagine if we could do it with this tshuva rabba, like this ava rabba, right? That we're really connecting to Hashem and saying, Hashem, like you are not hidden. You are totally here in my life, and you are making everything happen. And I know, and I see you in everything that is happening. And if we start verbalizing that and start thinking that, and that's the person that we become. That we become like the Shekhinah is literally inside you. You literally feel Hashem is with you, and this light is what's going to attract, all the good things in your life. So let's talk now a little bit more specific. So we spoke a little bit about Purim, about Esther, and let's talk a little bit about the desire to get married. The desire to get married and to build a home. Where does this come from? So it actually is a desire that Hashem gave each and every one of us when he said in the Torah, Azulay mikdash v'shachanti b'socham. When Hashem said, make for me a sanctuary, and I'm going to dwell amongst them. And right, we know the famous question, how come it says the beginning singular and then at the end it's plural? It says Azulay mikdash, so it's one sanctuary. How come in them, which is plural? But that means in every single Jew, married, single, man, woman, in any situation, a person doesn't need to be married or doesn't need to be in a relationship to do the Azulay mikdash v'shachanti b'seichem. So that home is where, so you can see it two ways. You can see the home is here, right? Like you're making it in your home, or wherever you live right now, wherever your home is right now. And also, we know that B'soicham is inside your heart. It's inside your emotions, inside the way you think, the way you, this is where the Shekhinah is. It's inside us. And even though we've learned this, I'm sure you're not hearing this for the first time, we could really meditate and integrate that we are literally the manifestation of Hashem. We are literally the Shekhinah that is walking around in this world. And actually, that's why, and Mit Hashem, all the enemies of the Jewish people should be annulled and bottled, Malik, all of it. And they recognize that. They recognize that we are carrying the Shekhinah, every single Jew, no matter what. So the truth is that, and again, we are not here to justify, argue, defend, or explain why some girls or some boys are still not married, and again, that's still, or they're not married. We're not here to do any of that. What we do need to understand is that at every moment, we can do that. And it's a very, very big avoida to do that. Whether you're married or you're single, to constantly be thinking of Hashem, constantly be thinking that you are in a boat for Hashem, that Hashem is literally with you. I was talking once to a friend. It was very cute. She said she told her kids who were like a little bit older, she says, I'm going to the supermarket to buy some things. So could you watch your little brothers and sisters? So her kids said, oh, but what did she say? She says, oh, but what if the kids, but what if we don't know how to take care of the kids? How is that going to be? So the mother said, no, don't worry, Hashem is going to help. So the kid said, so can't Hashem go shopping instead of you leaving the house? That's what the kid said. Hashem go shopping and do it. And literally it's like that. It's like really understanding that Hashem is so one with you. And that's why Hashem's timing, what we said at the beginning, it's not only Hashem's timing, it's also your timing. When we understand that we are one with Hashem, and that, sometimes you're tired and you don't think, oh, Hashem is tired, right? Like, you say you're tired. You say, oh, Hashem's never tired. Hashem is infinite. Hashem never gets tired. Hashem never gets, confused. Hashem never, you think that Hashem loves us so crazy, so unconditionally, that he feels what we feel. And so we actually can change Hashem's timing, right? Because it's one and the same thing. If we see ourselves as separate, then okay, Hashem has his timing, has nothing to do with me. But if we can really, really connect to that, and this is like this avoida that we're talking about, this geula avoida, of really, really being one with Hashem. So we go back to what is our mindset, right? And what is our goal, and what is our shlichus at this time? So the Rebbe would call women akeres habayis, and the Rebbe would also call the girls those that are preparing for that role to be akeres habayis. Now, akeres habayis is the ikar of the bayis, is the pillar of the home. And we also know that in this month, we're Chodesh Adar, and Hashem, and the Rebbe says in Dvar Malchus that Adar comes from the word Aleph Dar. Hashem is the one that dwells in this world, and Hashem is the Balabayis of this world. So who is the Akeres Habayis? Who is the pillar of Hashem's home? It's the Jewish people, because we are all wives. We are all the wives of Hashem. So we are the Akeres Habayis, and the Rebbe says those that are preparing for that role. And so the question is, are you doing all that you can to be married? It's not so much are you doing everything, but it's more, are you being all that you are in this situation? Meaning, are you, so let's say you would, I'll give you an example. Let's say you would say like this, when I get married, I'm going to, I don't know, I'm going to do, what's that called? The color,
The palette?
Yeah, the palette. I'm going to do the calabash, whatever. No, why are you waiting to just do it now? Oh, when I get married, I'm going to travel to whatever. No, do it right now. Whatever it is that you want, don't keep it on hold. Just do whatever it is now, because that vibration of stepping into that, into your Shekhinah, into doing what you really love, into that desire, that's actually an energy that's just going to go out. And that's actually an energy that's going to go out, and it's going to help you attract the Emet Hashem, the person that your other side. I want to give also here a couple of examples, because I know that we spoke a lot of Divrei Torah, a lot of things, but let me give like a few examples. So there is one shlucha in Brazil, and she got married when she was 32, 33, and she lived in Crown Heights, and she taught in a school, and I'm close to her, and we were talking. She says, I loved my single life. She said, I traveled, I had friends over for Shabbos, I taught, I really, really made it enjoyable. I made it the best that I could. And then people would say to her, do this gula and this gula. And she's like, I'm not doing any of the gulas. I'm just going to do what I do what I love what you do. She was a teacher. She was whatever. She traveled. She did this and that. And at the end, she ended up, it was a very, I guess you would say, uncommon situation where her future husband, he was already married, and unfortunately his first wife passed away and left 4 children. And then she got married, and then she had another 2 kids, and she's an amazing, amazing person, very, very upbeat. And you think and she was telling that to me, she was saying, yes, of course she wanted to get married, but at the same time, she was able to enjoy the time that she was, because she understood that wherever she was, that's exactly where Hashem wanted her to be. And maybe deep inside, that's where she needed to be, and she wanted to be, in order to, do her shlichus in this world. There's also there's also something else, which is really, really deep, and it's sometimes painful. We don't really like to talk about this, but I do want to just say it, just to outsource it, to get it out there and just to release it, that sometimes we feel that some things that we don't have, it's because we're not worthy or we're not deserving of it. And this is what we need to understand, that even when it's dark, we should never, ever, ever come to this conclusion. We should never come to this conclusion that, oh, I'm not worthy, I didn't, daven enough, or I didn't do this enough. There's so many reasons that we don't understand why and for what, that we should never, ever tell ourselves that story, that we're not deserving, chas v'shalom, we're not worthy in any situation, not only with shidduchim, but in any situation. And so Kaylee, and when Lama Zaftani, it's in all situations. It's not only when Esra Malka went into Hashverosh, which was a situation of life and death, and that's what the Me'or Einayim, he says that this is the midah of bitachon, and this is the avodah in Purim, that Hashem loves us unconditionally, and it's even more than that. It's also Hashem doesn't judge us the way that we sometimes judge ourselves. Baruch Hashem, he's the one that's judging us and not us, because we sometimes are so hard on ourselves. We're like, oh, this is happening. We don't know why things are happening. We have no idea why this is like this, or this is like this, or this child has to go through this sign. The only thing we could do is to show up. And that's what we spoke about before. How are we going to show up? What are we going to tell ourselves? What are we going to tell our friends? There's a shidduch crisis. There's no shidduch crisis. If Hashem is doing hashgacha pratis in a tiny leaf that's going over an ant, or that's covering an ant, so the ant has shade, obviously in something like a biyan adayad, there is totally hashgacha pratis in this. So that's the midah of bitachon that we have over here. Also, when we look at Hashem, so we can look at Hashem in 2 ways. Either he's our father or he's our husband, right? But I've spoken to many women also, and women that are married, and sometimes they start, oh, my husband this, my husband that, or, and they, complain, whatever. Jewish people like to complain sometimes, and, complaining. And many times I tell them, and I also remind myself, your husband is not the Eibishter. Your husband is not your higher power. Your husband is your husband, another human being who, together with you and with Hashem, is creating this Biyana De'ad. Your true husband, the provider of everything, of security, of abundance, of love, of anything, is Hashem. That's you. That's our real husband. It says that when Hashem, that in the Geula, Hashem is going, that in Galus, Hashem is called Baili. He's called our, like Baili comes from Baal, right? Like a Baal, like a Balabais, right? But then in the time of Geula, it's going to be called Ishi, like my man. Like it's much more on a one-to-one. It's not someone that's like on a higher, right? A higher level. So we have to know that Hashem is the one that provides. And when we go to Hashem, He's the one that's going to provide the husband. He's the one that's going to provide the house. He's the one that's going to provide everything. You know, and even the tiny little things that we have in our life, keep thanking Hashem for them. Then Hashem says, oh, like you recognize it's for me, so let me give you more. Like, you know, like when a child comes and says, oh, please, 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 thank you so much. So what do? You just want to give them more. When someone says thank you to you, there's just a flow, and the person just wants to give you more and more. It's the same, you know, Amar, like with Hashem, the more we say thank you to Hashem for what we do have, the more Hashem gives us, and the more He wants to give us. And actually, somebody very, very special, Aliza, who's our friend, and Aliza Chokron, she has on her Instagram page. She's a very special person, and she was saying something beautiful. She was saying that our avoida right now is really about expanding the capacity that we have for all the brachas, like to really, really open ourselves up. Because sometimes we say, oh, I want this, but do we really, really want it? Are we really a keli to receive this? You know, like people say, oh, I want to have $1 million. I want to have this. I want to have that. Like, are you a keli for it? And so we have to become, like, prepare ourselves to be that keli to receive that abundance. And you would say, why? Well, why would somebody have to prepare? Like, obviously you want this and that. You want all these good things. But really, if we look and we say this with compassion and empathy, we are coming from such a long, dark galus, from so much trauma, you know, capital T and minus, you know, the small t, so much that we've gone through as a Jewish people, that when it comes to our generation and we have all this abundance, it's like, are we really, really able to integrate this in our life? Are we really able to make it a part of our lives and maybe expand those kalim for it to be even more? Okay, I want to just finish off with something also. What is this baskel? Yes, so there is a baskel, right? So we know that there was a heavenly voice that said that everybody could do tshuva chutz mi acher. So acher was Rabbi Meir's professor, his Rebbe, and he knew all the Torah, and then he became, like, he rebelled against Hashem. And there was a baskel that came out and says, everybody can do tshuva chutz mi acher, but not acher. And why not acher? Because he did so many sins that they wanted to make it harder for him. When do things become hard for a person? When they think they don't have a way out. They feel like they can't change. They feel that there's no other way. That's when things become really hard. So how did they make it hard for him? By telling him, chutz mi acher, that everybody could do tshuva, everybody can come back, but he cannot. And this is a baskel. What happened was that he believed it, and then, and because of that, it touched him in such a deep, deep, deep way that he did tshuva right at the end of his life. But this is a baskel that we never need have to remember. We never need to believe. Why? Because Hashem did, and I'm just going to say it, Hashem did not lose interest in you. Hashem did not forget about you. Hashem is not doing a hester panim. He's not hiding. That's not the truth of the relationship. It's just an haga. It just seems like that in order for us to go deeper and see who we really are. Who am I? Is my identity, is my dignity, is my worthiness dependent on what this shatran said or what this person said, or how many phone calls I got, or how many, like, where is my worthiness? If I could really go deep inside and find that worthiness that has nothing to do with outside things, so then so that's the whole idea of why we have all these nisyonos. And this is what Purim teaches us. It's Achad Bashana that we have these great salvations because it's the emunah, the bitachon in the darkness. And just to finish off something really interesting, there's another story also with one of my kids actually in Shidduchim, but it also says that Chatzos Halayla, when you think about Chatzos Halayla, it's in the middle of the night. It actually means like the very, very dark time of the night, right? That's when people do, what do they do? Chatzos Halayla, they do Tikkun, right? Tikkun Chatzos, right? But Chatzos also means to break the darkness. That Chatzos Halayla means to break the darkness. How do we break the darkness? When we break the concealment and we say, Hashem is right here. Hashem is making everything happen. Hashem is doing this for me. Hashem is with me. Hashem loves me. Hashem knows that I'm worthy. Hashem sees me, and I want to see myself the way that Hashem sees me. Just to end also on this, something that happened, which was really amazing, and it has to do a lot with this title of Hashem's timing, and actually our timing as well, right? Like we said before, it's really actually one. So this is a very, my daughter-in-law and my daughter are here, so they know about this story. So one of my kids, when they started going out on Shidduchim, so they went to speak to their mashpia, which actually is a very, very nice thing to have a mashpia if you don't have a mashpia or if you don't speak to your mashpia. And I can only say that because last week I went to visit my mashpia and it was the best thing. You literally feel like Tchias HaMesim. You feel like you get this new surge of energy because the Rebbe said, why do you mind if I answer you through your mashpia and not directly like from the Rebbe saying it, right? Like that's when the Rebbe the Rebbe said, Bakasha Nafshi, the Rebbe was begging people to have a mashpia. Bakasha, it was something that was touching the heart, like something that touched the Rebbe's soul, the neshama, to have a mashpia. So anyway, so going back, so he spoke to his mashpia, and mashpia said, I have two names here. So he gave two names, and one of my kids, like it was my son, so he said, I don't know which name. So he said, okay, this name. So he looked into the name, we looked into it, and he went out with that person, and they went out, but he says, no, it's not Chaya, whatever. And that was that. After that, he forgot about the second name. We forgot about the second name. And he went out with other people. He went out 1 year. Then it was the corona. So we were on Shlichus in Brazil. So he came home and he was home for like a couple of years. I don't know, a year or two. I don't know how long ago the corona was. He couldn't travel. And then he went out with other people. After 6 years from that time that he spoke to Mashpia, he remembered the other name. And he said, what about this name? And then we looked into it, he looked into it, and then he went out, and Baruch Hashem, they're married and have two kids. And my daughter-in-law, she had told my son, like the first year of marriage, says, oh my gosh, like where were you all these years, right? And they both got married, they were 29. And he said, no, you didn't want to meet me like a few years ago. You met me at the right time. And, we really, 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 when we really integrate this, that everything is in the right timing, then really miracles can happen. And also, Metz Hashem, now, Bez Hashem, coming into Purim, really be able to be strengthened, all of us, in anything that's happening in our life, that Hashem has our back. We don't have to figure things out. We could let go, and we can just really, and strengthen that relationship with Hashem, just talking to Hashem while we daven, not in a way like just talking, like really, really having this conversation with Hashem, trying to listen. What is Hashem telling us? And in that way, and never feel that we're alone in any situation. And Amrit Hashem, at the right time, like my mother used to say, at the right time, the car of mamish, like right soon, that everybody should have good news, Hashem will have good news to share. And may we share many good news, and especially in Shidduchim and Amrit Hashem marriages and all good news for Am Yisrael. With Mashiach, take it from Yav Mamish.